Hi, Luminaires. How is everyone? Hello, hello. So happy to see you here. I hope everybody is doing well today and feeling your best. My name is Jamie Butler. I'm the Everyday Medium. On Fridays, I like to come on and just have some fireside chats without the fireside. Just talking about that intuitive, psychic, spiritual kind of woo-woo, but it's true topics. And today, I want to talk about building relationships with your loved ones who've transitioned and looking at kind of the three basic things that you want to address to be able to have success in communicating to your loved ones who've transitioned. For those of you who are joining me live, please put your fingers to the keyboard, add to the content, ask the questions. I would love to hear from you. And I see you guys here. Hi. Oh, thank you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, we are coming on a little bit earlier today. So this talk, we're a little bit early today because I have a healing for our YouTube members in an hour. So if you are part of the JBM YouTube membership that has exclusive content and you are, I guess, in the low tier or any of the tiers, we have a healing for you today. And it's a focus specifically on clearing the way to allow downloads to occur. So if you've paid attention to the energy around you, or if you tap into energy updates, whether that's with us or with others, you'll probably have heard that the beginning of August provides a lot of time for just some information and downloads to come in. So we're going to spread that open and make it happen. Okay, if you are out there and you are communicating with your loved ones in spirit and you have tips, I would love to hear them. I will read them out loud and give you a shout out. We all learn from each other, so I really appreciate that. But I'm going to talk about three things. How physical death is not the end of life. That's a good belief system to tackle if you want to be able to reach into the beyond, afterlife, home. I give the list because we address it in different ways. And I'm not asking you to change your vocabulary to join this conversation. I love when we come at it from different angles, but all of us do need to understand that the physical death does not end life. And another thing is to understand that you are made of light. You are a subtle light being. That is the natural state of you. So we're going to talk about it, get a little quantum physics-y. I don't think that's a word, but it is today, a little bit. And then we're going to talk about how communication is an innate ability. It's not something, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's not something that is out of reach for you. It is. It's just, I guess, getting more in alignment with how it's done. Often that requires you to change your perspective and kind of address some of your belief systems. All right, let's just dive into it. Let's talk about how physical death does not end life. You're like, and go. How can we talk about that in 5 minutes? There really isn't. This is a conundrum and a vicious cycle, and sometimes too lofty, elusive. It's a topic that is kind of hard to touch, but I want to touch in on it because I want to talk about it, how it fits into your belief systems. If you have any part of you that is I don't know. Maybe I haven't had an experience with that yet, possibly because you haven't died. But a lot of you out here watching the video have before. You have been pronounced dead and you have come back. My stepmother and my dad are just two of those people that I know of. So in that, you have gained an experience that others do not have. So maybe this concept isn't that difficult for you to wrap your head around. Maybe you're an avid meditator and you had an experience that puts you in the beyond, afterlife, the home, heaven. I'll call it spirit home just for our conversational, sake today. So you've had a deep meditation and it put you into spirit home. You had an experience. You came back from it. You cannot explain in your awake human life, language, and existence, how that occurred, how that happened, what went down, and it begins to shape your understanding that your life, or we can even call it your consciousness, extends beyond the physical body. Your life, your consciousness, your light, your spirit, your soul, all these words are interchangeable, are not tethered to the physical body, so that when the physical body ceases to exist, it does not take that consciousness and that life with it. That consciousness and that life is like the air in the balloon. It escapes like it was trapped this whole time. Some of us do feel trapped, I will say. I've heard those stories from you. But some of us really enjoy being in this container, this luggage. But we leave the physical body. There's all kinds of theories of how consciousness stays within the body. And if this is something that you really like to get into, there's a documentary by Terhe, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It's called The Creative Play of Consciousness. It's a 2-part documentary. Yours truly is at the back of it, but I'm not just mentioning it because I'm in it. I'm mentioning it because the way this was laid out, it is such an eye-opening experience because it's looking at it from scientific approach, from spiritual approach, from everyday kind of, we call it the layman's approach, one who has not studied in either field. And how do they describe like what life is? It's called The Creative Play of Consciousness. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If that's something you are interested in, like discovering how your belief systems are connecting to how life exists beyond the physical body. But if you're somebody who's sitting here and is like, well, I really want to talk to spirit. Maybe my dad passed away last year and I want to say hi to him, but you have this belief system that ashes to ashes. After this is over, we're not here. I'm not saying for you to go into fantasy land. Like, fine, I'll just believe in anything. And then I'll just lose myself in this endless fantasy of whatever I think of will happen. It's not like that. That's like similar to saying when you use affirmations. I mean, you could say an affirmation 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times a day. But if you don't believe in it, if you don't have a meaning connected to it, then it's going to be empty words. So fantasy is empty manifestation. It's not creating for you. It's not doing for you. So I'm not asking you to fall into fantasy and just believe or go in with blind faith. But I am saying, do reach out and discover what are your belief systems around what happens after we leave our physical body, because that is going to shape how you speak and how you communicate, or how you can communicate to your loved one in spirit. I love Andrew's doing the twist, and he's saying we're really in heaven right now, dreaming we're alive in a physical being. Oh, yes. Oh, why, thank you, Nanette. I enjoy wearing green. So, where's your belief system around physical death? What does life happen after that? So most of us find that when you have an experience, that experience with it, be it near-death experience or deep meditation experience, or maybe you have heard a story or witnessed an event from someone that you really, really trust, someone that you're very bonded to, and you're like, I know they tell the truth. Then all of a sudden you have an experience. And then you have something that you can't maybe shape into human, linear, descriptive words. And now you have something to work with. What if? What if that is real? Bottom line, you got to figure out what it is. Bottom line, there needs to be some belief that life exists after the physical body dies. Okay, so that's the first belief system I like to approach. I teach a 10-week class on building relationships with your loved one. And it is building a relationship. It's not just learning how to communicate to them. It's about, how do I include you into my daily life routine the way that you were when you were living? So some of the exercises I put in there, and the way that I talk about the communication is quite different, because we want them to be involved more in our lives. And it's really developing, how can my body allow them to be involved in my life when they no longer have a physical body? Where are my boundaries? Because we often think that when there's spirit there, they can just do whatever they want. They hear all of our thoughts. They can show up in places we don't want them to show up. And then our imagination runs wild. Oh my God, did you see that? What's happening? What do you think about me now? I'm so embarrassed. Or like, whatever it is. But we talk about that in the 10 weeks and the building a relationship with loved one. And by the end of the 10 weeks, really it's by like the 6th week, you have a routine built, and you are reshaping how you are thinking of them. Because often we think, oh, they're deceased, they're just gone, they're somewhere. Usually we think, oh, they're there. We've stuffed them somewhere. But in this series, we start to understand really where they are. They live deep inside of our internal universe. They live in, our emotions and our thoughts and our personalities. We realize how much they communicate with us through signs. And this is not about, as I mentioned before, just blind faith believing. The way that I like to teach is, I want to give you the experiences so that you can build your belief systems around it. So we really work on it. So if it's something you're interested in and you want to do this, I have you pick one spirit, one loved one, animal, companion. It could be an angelic being that you have been bonded to. It can be God source. So getting closer to your God source. It is non-religious, non-denominational teaching. You can also pick family member, friend, anybody who's transitioned. Okay. Aha. Okay, let us get into our second point. You are made of light. Remember I said we were going to get a little quantum physicsy? It's going to be a word. I'm going to make it a word. Don't worry. But this is it. You're made of light. But I think we forget this stuff because we're not moving through walls, and we have resistance. And from the moment we got here, we've been being taught and indoctrinated a language that supports that we are solid matter, and that we can hurt ourselves and damage ourselves, and all of this. So, hi, Eric. Hi, Barrett. Okay, Eric's jumping in. What if we didn't have the best relationship in life? Can we still heal that? Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you had an abusive mother and you were never close, maybe she left and didn't support your choices, but that's who you wish to talk to and communicate with, yes, you can open up the line of conversation. But it is interesting. I find that how do I want to say this? It's a really interesting topic, Eric, because I find that as humans, we're like, okay, I can't get 100% peace or forgiveness until I also get it from the other party that was involved. I want them to have their, claim their responsibility for their actions and their thoughts and what they were doing with me. But I also, need to know that they have changed or they have forgiven, or so that I can heal. But this is like a human thing where we give away our power to another source. I'm not saying that you do this. I'm just going off on a tangent, Eric. But we, as humans, will often give away our power because it's what we're taught. It's like going back to teaching that we are solid matter, teaching that then when there's conflict, we both have to say we're sorry so that we can both heal and forgive and be okay. But you have all the power inside of yourself. So if you are going to be in the class, and this is part of the desire for you to have that communication, I will have extra exercises and points for you to look at to make sure you know where you're coming from and to know what you need before entering into that communication. So at the beginning of the series, we look a lot at what are your belief systems? What do you actually need from this person? And are you still imagining that that person is the same? Because the other interesting thing is that when spirit transitions, they see differently. They have a different perspective. They're having different experiences than what they had in life, or on life. And now they are in a different style of healing and holding space. But you don't know what that is yet. So it's going to be your job to come in very neutral to understand where are they now, and to be willing to hear from them exactly how they want to speak to you, not how you think they need to speak to you, not the narrow, I need to hear that you are sorry and that you love me and that you forgive me, or whatever the words are. They might not say it. So I don't want to give false hope that we can make anything happen, but I do want to give tons of hope and energy that the connection can occur. And through that connection and through how we approach it with compassionate communication, which is based on listening to the emotions behind the words, coming at conversation from getting needs met. And most of us think that when a spirit dies, they just like get the key to the kingdom and they just know everything. So why do we have to have this intimate conversation with them? They know what's going on. They know what they did, whatever it is, but they are having their own experience. Allow them to communicate from where they are. So we develop an approach that allows your entity that you want to communicate with to truly be themselves and not fit into what we might expect or what we think they are at this time. So I know that was a long response, but I really like the question. Deb says, it took years, but I repaired my relationship with my mom by talking to her. She didn't talk back for a while, but I was too angry at that time. I really love her now. Yay! Even Vaughn says, can our life path interfere with access to spirit? No. Life path will not interfere. Belief systems will totally interfere and undermine. So will perception. Like if you're so wired to trigger and like maybe control, or trigger to just be passive on either side. So these are maybe how you see the experience, how you're trying to control or passively manipulate. That will morph how you have access to spirit, but not your life path per se. So like if you choose to come to earth to never speak to spirit ever, but then you discover that you're a being of light, which we're about to talk about, and you do have access to them, that contract's not going to overwrite that learning that you're having in life. Contracts don't do that. The agreement and the contract that you make when you come is the foundation that you walk on. And by your free will and your choices and how you grow, you shift that agreement and contract. I like how I say that so plainly and bluntly. Like, by the way, guys, here's the facts. It's just what I have seen and experienced. I have not yet seen somebody be so bound to their contract. I've seen them repeat their contract or agreement again and again and again until they get it the way that they really want to learn it. I've seen that happen, but they're not bound by it like that. Oh. Barrett's just having a good time reading all the books in the background. The titles, the tarot cards. You can't see my stack of tarot cards. Here, Barrett, I'll lift you up. There you go. That's my tarot card collection. They're like 3 deep on the shelf. We'll hang here for a little bit and then I'll turn the camera back. Okay. You are a being of light. So let's think about it. Through the perspective of our 5 senses and what we were taught when we were born, how we came in, we are to believe that our bodies are solid and separate from one another, when in the truth, on a finer level, on a subatomic level, like on an atomic level, on a subatomic level, like we're just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. The solid matter that we're talking about just turns out to be pure energy. So how does that all work out? Like, what is your belief system now? Solid matter is actually made up of smaller and smaller and smaller particles within particles, which make up these like wave-like features. And those wave-like features we're looking at, that is energy. It's all energy. So every atom of every substance is comprised of electrons, neutrons, and protons, which are in constant movement. They are electrical and they are magnetic energy vibrations. The electrons orbit the nucleus, which the neutrons and the protons are hiding out in, and there is a resistance. There is that magnetic pull, and it's that actual magnetic pull. Like if you take two magnets and you flip one around and you try to push them together and you can't, that's actually what's occurring, but we're calling it solid matter. Hello, quantum physics. So quantum physics has proven that the physical atoms that we're talking about in our bodies and anything are actually made up of these vortexes, these how do you say vortex in plural? Vortices. Is that it? Vortices of energy. They're like constantly spinning and they're vibrating and they look like tiny, tiny little tornadoes. It's actually what our chakra looks like. If we can remove our little golf ball sized, there's our golf balls, size chakra out of our body and we look at it, it's these tiny, tiny little tornadoes that have tails. And then those tails are what tether to the bone, to the tissue, to organs, everything like that, that anchor the energy from our auric field into our physical body. Physical body does not mean solid body. It just means denser energy. It's called gross energy when it's inside of you and subtle light energy when it's outside of you. Okay, so we look at those particles. We see that they're made up of all these vortexes, and each vortex, these tiny little tornadoes, they shine their own energy signature. And each of those energy centers or those energy frequencies, it's like a unique thumbprint of what each vortex does. There's actually smaller vortexes that are surrounding them, and those are called quarks and photons. And if you look deeper past the quarks and the photons, deeper past the structure of the atom, you will begin to see what we're all made of, which is nothing. It's nothing. The physical void is what we're all made of. So we're still believing that our bodies are solid, but it's not a truth, but it's something that we were taught so early on. We've just resigned to it. We don't argue with it. We don't have a lot of reason to argue with it because we have such a belief system built around it that when we cut the corner coming into the doorway and we hit the door frame, it hurts. We hit it. Bam. It's like, oh, I am solid matter. And that door is solid, or the door frame. So where are you going to slow down and start allowing different belief systems to fruit and come forward? Where's it going to be? Hi, Lexi. I must have a lot of protection with kitties because I keep seeing them and sneezing every day. And Maitland just laughs at me. Bear is just sharing. Yes. You love the kitty with the black tourmaline? My little protector kitty. When are you going to start changing your belief systems to match what's going on? So I have a series I do. It's a 21 days of remote Reiki. I've only done it once, like as a group. I've done it several times as individuals, but I'm doing them as small groups, 21 people, 21 days. And we look at repetitive checking into where your belief systems are, how you're expanding your mind. And with so much repetitive check-in, by the time at the end, it's like you're living your everyday with these new set of experiences, and you have a different foundation you're coming from, that can really help you shift your belief systems so that you can do more of these things that you know you can do, but maybe you feel like you want more of it, or you're not as successful, or you'd like for it to look different, feel different, smell different, whatever it is, come to you more intensely. So if it's something you're interested in and you want to tap into healing on a day-to-day basis, the next 21 days, we're going to start in September 3rd through the 23rd. It's an day, but I only need you for 45 minutes. Actually, I don't even need you at all because it's remote, because I like that aspect. But I do 45 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night is remote, and the weekends are remote. So only Monday through Friday, I'll come onto the video. But then when we leave, you have all those videos you can go back to. You can repeat them, go through the series again. I like to give notes on what your energy looks like. I don't do it with everybody on every day, but I do like to keep an eye. I do a crystal grid sound healing treatment for the 21 days solid. It's so wonderful. Okay. I was just mentioning that. I just remembered it and I fell back into it. Oh, thank you, Elaine, for posting that. Oh, it's a birthday. 2 days, you got to count down. Happy early birthday. Okay, the third thing about communicating with spirit is knowing that communication is an innate ability. There's a trick here. What I mean as an innate ability, we think that I am separate than them, whoever's in spirit, right? Separate than God. I am separate than the angels. I am separate than the multidimensionals. I am separate than my family, than my friends, and my animal companions who've passed over. Or maybe you have a deep love relationship with a plant that passed over. This is a belief system I think needs to be looked at. And I still need to look at it. I'm not saying I've got all of this stuff mastered. I'm saying I've got it flat out on my table and I look at it every day and I figure out new ways to have relationships with them. But I do fall into the I'm over here and you're over there. Here, there, separate. But they are made of the same energy as you. You are made of the same energy as them. So when you think about communicating with them, it's like if you learn how to go inward, you can then communicate to them because they're made of the same energy that you are. So if we look at communication that way, it's an innate ability. But if we look at how are you communicating, that's a whole different topic. I would love to know how you're communicating, actually. Let's pause and have a drink. I think it's too early to play the if you see Big Red, take a tequila shot. But I mean, if you're there for it, now's the time. I always tease about that, but I feel like someone out there is doing it. JC says, it sounds weird, but I really want to talk to Elvis Presley, but I feel like he's mad at me and I don't know why. So I would check more into that feeling. Like there's two things there that I feel like a general public would go, okay, first of all, why are you picking Elvis Presley? Did you know him in real life? Are you a celebrity grabber? What is it? I don't like to look at things that way. If you have a calling to connect to someone, you have a calling to connect to someone. Own it. Acknowledge it. And then if you have a feeling about it, like, I feel like he's mad at me. So if you haven't had a relationship with him before, and that could also mean past lives, future lives, where's the feeling coming from? Most likely, as a human, the feeling is coming from lack of worth or esteem, because we're taught that certain people are untouchables. So I would look at it yourself. Yeah, she's like, I'm a fan. So I would look at, why are you having the feeling? Does it actually belong to you? And you are creating it and you're misinterpreting it into a message that you're receiving? Or is it actually a message you are receiving? So I would linger on that for a little while until you can gain more clarity about the source of those emotions and address those. Because if you have the lack of self-esteem and lack of worth, that can impede on your communication. So your style of communication would come from, I know I don't have any stance in doing this or saying this, but I really want to, but it's okay. Have you talked to people who are like that? They just kind of dip away. They don't look at you, but they're trying to talk to you and they're trying to muster up the strength. They're getting in their own way of communicating clearly. So in the Building New Relationship with Loved Ones series, I do talk a lot about compassionate communication. We do practice identifying what our needs are. Like, what are your needs? What need are you going to fulfill by speaking to that spirit? So JC, what need are you going to fulfill by speaking to Elvis? A need, not a wish, not a desire, not a dream, a need. What is it? So hang on to that a little bit. That will help you understand how to approach and start the conversation. So if we are all one, do you see that? I just wove us all together. I don't know. I am about to get back into my sign language and bring that together a little bit more. So this is why my hands move all over the place, is I learned sign language in 3rd grade and I kind of lost it as I grew up, but my hands still move when I talk. I think that is where it comes from. Also, just being an animated person. Okay. Communication. Your style is what will help the communication, but innately, you have the right to it. It belongs to you. You're all part of the same thing. We're all part of the same thing. Andrew. Andrew's making some Elvis jokes with his lyrics. I love it so much. Okay, these are the 3 things I would suggest you look at to help build your connection to your loved ones. Even if you're already in communication with them, but you're looking at, how do I make it more deep? How do I involve them more into my life and not just have them be something up on the shelf that I think about every now and then, or I go to on special occasions? I would look at, what is your belief system around physical death and the extension of life? I'd really look at and study the fact that you are made of light. I would check out the creative play of consciousness. It's a great video opener. I would also look at your style of communication. What are you needing from speaking up? But basically understanding that you have a right to speak up. Okay, you guys are killing me. I should bring Eric in. You should bring Eric in here. I should. I hear you. You would like to have Eric's voice kind of shine through on some of the talks. When he does show up, I do speak his voice, like bring him forward. But he's not as round as much in my case. So some other things, if you are wanting to join and kind of expand your abilities on the quicker side of things, on the 7th, I have an healing coming up that's about increasing your clairvoyancy. So if that's something you're into and you would like to have a little bit more in your life, that healing is totally focused on that. And that's going to be on the 7th. And then I also, on the 15th, have another healing, which is empathy as a superpower. I love empathy as a superpower. And so we really highlight the sensations of being able to feel, creating more sensitivity with boundaries, like sensitivity with filters. So you're just not swallowed up by all the communication around you, but you're a little bit more in control over it. You can join me for that. And I'd like to remind you, Luminaires, that the mentorship is starting September 17th. And if you want to be a part of the mentorship, it's from September 17th all the way through March. We meet once a week, and it is focusing on taking your sensitivities and blending them with a business. So entrepreneurship, solopreneurship, looking at your healing, any of your abilities, talk therapy, artist, however you want to apply your intuitive, psychic, sensitive skills to your business, service, or product. And all along the way, we learn how to schedule, promote, market ourselves without burning out, how to use our gifts and abilities every moment we're in business and not hiding them and kind of feeling weird going, I have a feeling that this person is not a good fit, and the rest of the team is like, "Oh, well, we can't go on feelings, so how do you bring forward your psychic, intuitive, gut instinct and knowledge, at a table of, other business people and be heard as a sane, reasonable, reliable person, right? All of these things can actually fit together. They don't have to be separated. So we really practice that energy, blending and merging it in. Yay! Thank you so much, Barrett. Thank you for the financial love and energy. It says, let's celebrate the 10th super on a live stream. All right, let's celebrate it. I would love to know what that means. I think that's great. I will say, if you enjoy these conversations that we have on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I do my best to come in once a week. Mostly it's on Fridays, but sometimes I pop in a little bit earlier if the mood is there. I do my best to schedule it out so that you know when these conversations are happening. I love it when you join live and you type in what you're going through, what you're feeling, and how you guys talk to each other and support each other through what you're learning and what you're going through. That's the beauty of having your tribe. I love it. Luminaires, you're amazing. Okay, does anybody have insight, anything that you want to share before we close this up? There is so much happening these days. I'm excited about August's energy. I feel like, okay, this is a good point too, JC. It's like when you want to communicate with someone, whether they have celebrity status or not, sometimes humans feel like they're annoying them. I'm reaching out too much, or I'm relying on you too much, or I'm asking you too many questions. Maybe that's why you're upset with me. That's why you don't like me. That's why you're mad. Am I holding you back? These are all like really wonderful insights and questions. In spirit, you are not holding them back. You can communicate to them 24/7 if you would like. It is not holding them back. Do you know who is getting held back if they're leaning that much on them? Is you. You would have to look at, why am I reaching out so often? So if you think you're annoying them, I would look at it as an assessment of your actions, as a judgment on self. What are the things that you are doing that you are judging or assessing as an annoyance? So then I think the whole self-counseling aspect, where you can say, if I'm applying this action, is that how I would like to be approached and I would like to be treated? But truly, authentically looking at your I, how would I like to be approached? How would I like to be treated? Not, if I were famous, how would I like to be approached? No, because you might not be. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to look at you in the clothes that you're in now, in the shoes that you're wearing now, in the present moment where you are, and ask the question. And that can help really guide how you want to hold your conversations and how often they are. And it will lessen this feeling of nervousness. Maybe they don't want to talk to me. Maybe I'm doing this too much. Maybe I'm holding them back. I don't know. Breathe. Look at yourself. It's all self-assessment. Once you're okay with it, those things are gone and your communication shifts and changes. Amy G is saying, thank you. I needed the reminder today about not giving my power away. Not with talking to spirit, but with someone here. Yeah. mean, it's so, we've been taught to give our power away. We were taught that our whole childhood. Wild, isn't it? Sit still, be still, pay attention to the teacher. The teacher knows more than you. You don't need to look at your imagination. I'm going to tell you what to think. This is all a child learning how to give away their power to comply to somebody else's request, to comply to the smoothness of the environment, and not self-prioritize. So these aha moments, Amy, are so valuable. I mean, it's just like, oh, I thought I was doing that. Now I see where there's more that can be done. It's like this constant growth, which I think is so very exciting, because I get kind of bored if I plateau. Like, I really like that little bit of edge and challenge of discovering something more. So lean on into it. Even Von Pratt Fiane says, I had a dream where I got a huge hug from my now dead grandfather. How should I interpret this dream? How do you want to interpret it? My biggest question would be, how did it feel to you to receive the hug? Because there's all kinds of different hugs, right? You say it was a big hug, like huge hug. Like sometimes that big bear hug where in the dream you feel small and you're being held and cradled is this big love from like the care provider to a baby. It's an, I got you. You're safe. I love you. I see you. I'm here with you. Sometimes hugs can be quick and abrupt. And this is more like, I'm touching base with you, but I need some distance. Yeah. So if it was a big, long hug, I would see it as a hello. Especially if you knew in the dream that it was a special hug, or that you knew in the dream that your grandfather was no longer living, but he was with you and you just didn't question it. That's a spirit visitation, where they come in to see you and hug you and just say hi, just get that moment with you. Oh, I really love those reunion moments. I had a dream, speaking of dreams, I have a hair in my face. It's just tickling. It's not a hair. Who is it? Maitland? Okay. I had a dream at the beginning of July. If you've been in my orbit, you know I care for a woman who has now advanced Alzheimer's. I started taking care of her when she was early, mid stages in dementia, not really progressed. And now she's in advanced stages. And I had a dream where she showed up and she was a little bit younger than what she is, looking healthy. The light and life was behind her eyes. And I looked at her and I just kind of smiled real big, like, you look really good, you know? And she was like, I'm here to let you know that I'm ready to go. I'm done. And I was like, okay. And I repeated, I was like, so you're ready, you know, you're done, you're ready to go. And she gave me a hug, and it was the best hug. And it was just like, wow. And I told her I loved her. She told me she loved me. And we said goodbye. And I quickly called my husband because I was traveling. And my husband was caring for her. And I was like, how is she? He goes, it's been a really odd day. It's like she's not in her body. She has her eyes open, but she's non-communicative. She's not talking, but she's just kind of looking around. I was like, she's traveling. She's traveling now. So we're getting closer to her transition if she's leaving her body and coming back. But, you know, she can choose to stay in this teeter-totter for a long time. But she is progressing in other ways. So these dreams can be very valuable in helping the consciousness wrap up what it doesn't know. Like, it gives good, clean, reliable information to the consciousness. So it's definitely something to look at. Lori, hey, Lori Williams. Lori Williams just published her first children's book. It's over on Amazon. Lori, you have to remind me of the name. I had it in my head and it just escaped. Spot on, Jamie. She says the old programming. You totally opened me up on that. It's a sneaky little thing. It's just so common. You know, we just don't cut our eyes over at it so often and we just let it run amok. It's called Sunshine Town. That is it. Children's book called Sunshine Town. And it was all energy, all channeled. Main character came to her before the book was written, helped her write it. It's amazing. Thank you. I would love a copy. And JC, as far as it comes to making requests and communicating to the person you want to, that's going to be on you. You can do it. This is the journey. If you want to learn it more, I would love for you to come to the series or one of the classes. I'd be ever so happy to help. Okay, I'm going to take off because I'm going to get ready for the healing over on the YouTube membership. Thank you so much for being here. If you did like, please give us a thumbs up. If you have topics that you would like to hear in these kind of fireside community chats, please post them. We do take them to heart and we keep a running list. I really appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Have a great rest of your day. Remember, this is not woo-woo. It's true. You had it. I heard you say it in your head. Take care, everyone. Bye.